So this one is going to be showing you how to attach panels together. Sometimes it's very easy because all the stitches add up, and sometimes you kind of have to make your way into the same stitches a couple of times to make them line up. So these are two panels I've made earlier. If you've watched my previous videos, this is present number 2, and this is our Christmas light panel, but obviously a lot shorter, but that doesn't matter for this tutorial. So what you're going to be doing is attaching it along this kind of border here. So this one's nice and easy. We've had 20 rows and 20 rows, so everything's going to match up nicely. But I'll show you how to do that first, and I'll show you how to do it if it's a little bit more complicated. My pattern has a very in-depth way of doing this in terms of literally it says join 1, join 2, and it literally works your way through all of them. I join by using single crochets. Some people obviously don't want to do that. Some people want to sew and join and kind of whip their work all the way up. That's absolutely fine. You can do whatever you want to do. Again, my yarn quantities has taken into account that I've used single crochet for this. You'll probably use less if you don't use that, but that's absolutely fine. I have an aversion to weaving in ends, and this is and also aversion to sewing. So this is the way I prefer. So what you want to do with your panels is get them right side facing together. So you want this side facing onto there, and then we'll be looking at these two corners up there like that. So we're joining with our yarn H, and you're going to start in the corner. It's lovely that I've chosen black because it makes it extremely difficult sometimes to see where you're working into. So corner of the present, and then corner of that Christmas light panel. You just gotta bring it through and chain 1. And your pattern is really nice and easy. You're literally just single crocheting into that corner space, all the way down your stitches and into the corner space again. So where we've worked, we'll just single crochet. And this you should do because you've got 20 rows, but by adding your border, you obviously added a stitch at the top and at the bottom for your corner. So now you've got 22 single crochets all the way down. So just find that first stitch, so that first stitch there. This will be your corner one. First stitch there. 1. And you're just working your way down the panel, matching stitch for stitch. 2. And you're working into, I know some people do front loop, back loop. I just work into all the loops, so there's no kind of something like that. You're doing your corner space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just match 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I've done this a number of times, so for me this is quite easy matching. However, with this black yarn it can be quite difficult, so a good light is always needed. On your border, that is your corner kind of single crochet. You've got to chain 2 and single crochet, so you want to go into that one. It's your last single crochet before you get to the corner. There you go. And then you want to work into that corner space as well, so into those chains. Into those chains as well. And then that is it. That is your join. So that is a nice easy join because they match up. When I've recommended to do the different joins, what I've done, join 1, 2, and 3 are the easiest ones because they match up stitch for stitch. So I'll let you do all the easy ones first. But that is how it joins up nicely together. By doing this technique, what you do end up with is this kind of bump on the other side. But I prefer that. I prefer it to sewing it together. So some joins are a bit more complicated to do because they won't match up perfectly. And the main priority for me was matching up. It's harder to see, but where these bumps are, I would like those to match up perfectly as well. It's quite easy because it's the odd numbers that are a bit down and the bumps are the even numbers. So what I recommend is getting a stitch marker and counting your rows up. So I know this has 20 rows, so I want to make sure I do 20 rows on here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And that is a bump. So that is nice. So here we're going to be putting in a stitch marker. So that is the limit we can go up to on our snowman to get the right amount of rows. So row like normal and put right side facing towards each other, like that. Obviously, to point out, these panels do not go together on the blanket, and this is obviously a very small version of the snowman. I'm just doing an example of what it looks like when there is a little bit misplacement in terms of the height. So yeah, right side's facing. And the start is exactly what you normally would do. So the start is going into that corner space, so that chain 2 space, the 4-meter hook. So chain 2 space there, chain 2 space there. And you want to bring up a chain. And then do like every other kind of join, go into that corner space again, and single crochet. So this first bit is exactly like normal. So you're going to single crochet, match up all these stitches until you get to this stitch marker, because you don't want to work past this one. I'll show you what to do at the end. So let's match in these up. So that's the corner, single crochet, and that is the corner, single crochet. So 1, 2. And the best way to find out whether these match up is to look at these bumps. So let's do that one. There's a bump here, so you should be going into a bump on both panels. And if you're not, then it's not joined up properly. Sometimes, obviously based on tension, you might just have to pull one panel just to get them lined up correctly, but they will fit nicely at the end if you do that. It's very easy to become misaligned, but that is still working very nicely. And we'll just keep going until we hit that stitch marker. That is the point. We do not want to go any further. If you do go further than this stitch marker on the bigger panel, then the one you join over here will not have enough stitches to join, and again that won't work properly. So you need to make sure you are matching row for row for both of the panels that you work onto that one bigger panel. So we'll keep going. So we're working into that final stitch there with the stitch marker, and that there. So what you'll see is that you'll normally have 2 more places you want to work in this smaller panel. So you've worked into that stitch. So you'll have 1 more stitch you want to work in and the corner space. But you don't want to work any more of this snowman panel or the bigger panel. So what you want to do, go into your stitch marker stitch again on the bigger panel and go into that stitch you haven't worked yet, pull up a loop, you have 2 loops, go into it again, and you go into the corner space, chain 2 space, and you do want to be working that, otherwise your corner will not be attached to the blanket. Pull up and you'll have 3 loops, and then go through all 3, and that will match your row count. Let me just fasten that off. So that means you've worked every one of these stitches onto here, but without going past the row count that you want. You just do a decrease in those final 2 stitches into the same stitch you've worked on the last stitch. A stitch marker is so important because that means you can identify, I am not going further than that. And as you can see, it's these bumps, indents are perfectly in line. And the decrease we've done there, you can't even tell that we've done that, because those are the 2 stitches that we have to do the decrease on, was the chain 2 corner space and also the additional stitch we added for the border. So it's not actually any part of the row that we are kind of squishing together. It's the additional stitches we've added after, so it doesn't matter too much. But that is how you do the more complicated joins. Similarly, if you're attaching one onto the bottom here, for the horizontal joins, it's 160 stitches. And what I've tried to do is the horizontal joins you do are nearly always all the way across where I can. And you literally just work from one end to the other, 160 stitches. And you do work into the corner spaces, those chain 2 spaces, they count as a stitch. You do need to work into those. If you don't work into those, then this bit will be attached, but not the corners. So that you'll have a bit of a kind of attachment here and here, and a bit of a loose kind of bit there. So you do need to work into your chain 2 corner spaces. But that is your more complicated join. Stitch marker is very important for it.